Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Palouse, Pullman, Washington. It is home of the Washington State Cougars. It is Pac-12 football, and it is presented by 76. The Portland State Vikings out of the Big Sky Conference in town today to take on the Cougars. Both teams looking for their first win in this season. Welcome to Martin Stadium, Giesa Field. I'm Greg Heister along with the great Lincoln Kennedy. All right, Cougar fans. You had a tough loss last week against Utah State. The coaches worked all week to get the sting out of that loss, didn't they?
Well, you know, when you control a game for pretty much the entire game and lose it in the fourth quarter, it's a very bitter sting that's going to stay around. But you got to have a short memory when you're in this game because you got another game coming up. The Vikings are looking to get on the board and looking to score as well as to win their first game as well. So they're coming in awfully salty too.
All right, the talk all summer, who's going to be the starting quarterback for Washington State? When the dust settled, Jarrett Garantano, he won the starting job, but he was dinged in the second quarter against Utah State, opened the door for Jayden DeLore. He took advantage of it.
And that's what you're supposed to do. It's always the next man up model from offensive coordinators and coaches around these parts. So Jayden DeLore is going to take full advantage of his opportunity. Threw for 155 yards last week and a touchdown, but they're going to need more out of him today.
And look, Washington State's been good on the offensive side of the ball for quite some time now, but when they're good defensively, they have special years. Jahad Woods is one of those guys.
You have to appreciate a linebacker who knows how to play well in space. When you watch Woods, you have to watch his closing speed. Play recognition, closing speed, and this is why he's invaluable to this Washington State Cougar defense. He can close from sideline to sideline. He knows what to do when he has a running back in the hole, puts his head down and lowers his shoulder, and bam, he's tackling for a loss.
Now look, Portland State might be out of the Big Sky. It might be FCS, but this guy makes them very dangerous. Davis Alexander, he's a senior. They're always tough to beat.
Experience. And when you talk about Davis Alexander, you look at he threw 400 yards against Hawaii last week. He might have a similar day today against these Cougars. I'm sure Washington State fans hope not.
Over 6,500 yards in his career with Portland State. There's Max Borghi. He's a legend on the Palouse. Only 11 carries last week against Utah State. Expect him to get the rock more today. It's Portland State, it's Washington State, and it's up next. DeLore with time. He'll throw to the end zone. Receiver there. Jackson's got it. Touchdown, Washington State. Kelvin Jackson got behind the defense and made a great catch. Thank you, Mark. Certainly was. Is it okay to admit that you were rooting for Oregon today?
I'm rooting for the Pac-12
Okay,
collectively. Let's keep it clean. We've got kids listening to the program, so let's keep it clean.
All right, 1st and 10. Alexander to throw again. And I believe that's an incomplete pass.
But it is a big signature win. I mean, you look
huge.
at it's absolutely huge. You look at the first time they won, and they had lost. They were 0-9 against Ohio State previously, and the first regular season win versus the top 9 non-conference team since 2003. Big day. And look at C.J. Verdell, 20 rushes for 161 yards. Nice day.
Follow that up with the win last week by UCLA, and now this win on the road at the Horseshoe. Huge game. Alexander will keep it, working to the right side. He'll get about 4 yards, and he's forced out of bounds down there at the 29-yard line by number 1, Tyrone Hill Jr.
Yeah.
They lost a yard on that play, so it'll be 2nd down and goal from inside the 2. Walker again right up the middle, and that Cougar defense stiffens again.
True goal line defense out of the Cougars right now. And Portland State doesn't have an answer for it.
78's helmet came off by play. He has to leave the game. 1 play.
And that's a big loss with Richard Estrella, 6'4", 305 pounds, a redshirt freshman out of Eugene. He's a big part of this offense as guard.
So now it's 3rd down and goal. You got to look to Davis Alexander here to make a play. Walker again in the backfield. Alexander keeps it and gets to the cone. Touchdown, Portland State.
Good call. Put it in your veterans' hands. Allow him to do it.
But Greg Heister, Lincoln Kennedy, we are here, and the Vikings respond with a great offensive series. It came down to a 3rd and goal, and Davis Alexander able to punch it in. And now Washington State will look to answer on offense. And here's Harris At the 20, the stutter step, he's got blockers. He's at the 30, the 35. He's got some daylight, and he's caught an angle, and he's pushed out of bounds at the 45-yard line. But again, great field position for Washington State. And now we go to San Francisco and the studio. Another update from Mark Willard. And Borghi again with room. Cuts it back, used the stiff arm. He'll come up about a yard, maybe a yard and a half shy of the first down. But look, this is a guy coming into the season up for the Doak Walker Award and the Biletnikoff Award. The only player in college football to be up for both. The world knows he can catch it. He wants to prove this year that he can run the football like he is on this play across the 35 out near the 40-yard line. A gain of about 11 yards for Max Borghi, and he moves the chains.
A little legitimate tough guy. You see a little bit of stiff arm coming to the outside. You don't tackle me. Running out of bounds. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Borghi's the guy, they were the focal point of this offense. A lot of times, of course, we're seeing a big dose of Deion McIntyre.
Jaden now 6 of 9 for 74 yards and a touchdown. McIntosh still in the backfield. Delora deep drop going deep down the middle. Harris has it at the 20, spinning and down to the 16-yard line. First catch of the game for Travell Harris.
Well, you can't do this unless you don't have protection up front. Great job by the offensive line. It's given Delora a lot of protection. Travell Harris running the dig route, coming open in the second level between the linebackers and the safeties, and Delora getting the football.
And now McIntosh after a gain of 29 by Harris. McIntosh to the goal line and into the end zone. The Cougars score again.
When you get that full head of steam, great running downhill like McIntosh did on that play, he's really hard to stop. 6 foot, 200 pounds. He's putting an awful lot of pressure on the safeties and the secondary of the Vikings defense. Look at that hole open up over the right guard. There is no white jersey in sight, and by the time they do come into view, it's too late. McIntosh is diving in the end zone.
7-play drive, 80 yards, took just 2 minutes and 11 seconds. And now the extra point attempt is through, and it's a 21-7 start for Washington State. 5:12 to play first half. Deion McIntosh to the end zone. Mallow had a big game last week in their loss against Hawaii. Downfield, what a catch by Stribling. Did he get a foot down? He did, inside the 4. What a catch.
The classic time where you take advantage of what the defense gives you. More importantly, you work off of their mistakes. As I mentioned throughout this drive, they're still running the same route combination on the sideline where the outside receiver goes out, it goes straight up the field on the go route. Stribling did a great job of getting his feet down.
Delora keeps it. Got to the 1-yard line. What a catch by that freshman, Dazon Stribling.
Yeah, it really was. What an open field tackle that time against Delora. See the zone read. They take away the zone, and then Delora gets in space. And the safety Ryan Lish does a great job, along with number 55.
Delora 4 for 4, 49 yards on this drive. He's got Borghi in the backfield. Does he give it to Max? Here's the pitch. Max walks into the end zone.
Doesn't get much easier
with
than
his
that.
first touchdown.
Doesn't get much easier than that, Greg. Just running the option to the outside, the short side of the field. Receiver clears out. There's no one in the perimeter, forced to play back inside. Gets on the edge, and it's all speed to the end zone.
It's 36-10 in all. That drive, 6 plays, 66 yards. It took 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
And they already have him outflanked. Looked like Boogie Davis, number 55, got called inside. He was a defensive end.
And you can probably hear the chants of Borghi, Borghi. They love him here on the Palouse.
And he's earned it.